Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. The Hyundai Kona Electric 2023 model, it's here. We know the specs, we know the differences between this model and the previous model. It's huge. Massive difference between this car and the old car. This car, in most ways, is way better. And I mean way better. Should you actually buy one? Well, maybe you should. The new 2023 model is much bigger. That's one of the first things you'll notice. It looks way better on the outside, looks way better on the inside. It has different battery packs, different ranges, different specs. Pricing will be very different too. We don't exactly know the price, but we do have a good idea on what it would likely be. For Australia, I'm talking about. In Australia, the base model, 2022 model, the old version, 55,000 Australian dollars. With the longer range battery pack, 60,000 Australian dollars. So more expensive than a BYD Atto 3. But that battery pack in the $55,000 model was the small pack, and now it's totally different. I would suggest the 2023 model will be more expensive because of the much bigger battery pack. It's gone from 38 kilowatt hours to 48. Most likely, we'll see a price of 60,000 Australian dollars for the base model and 65,000 Australian dollars for the extended range model. The extended range model has a battery pack that's 65 kilowatt hours in size. What about in the United States? In the US, the base model variant costs $33,000. The longer range variant, $37,000. Most likely the price will increase a little bit to $35,000 US dollars for the base model and $40,000 for the extended range model. Is this a car worth considering? Well, personally, I don't think you should ever buy an electric car unless it was built using a specific electric car platform. If it wasn't, it's going to have some compromises that journalists may or may not want to tell you about, depending on who's paying their salaries that week. The point is here, the Kona, Hyundai say, is built on a fully electric car designed platform. Is that true? We don't really know. We do know that there are other variants of the Kona, the 2023, 2024 model, whatever you want to call it. In Australia, it's called 2023. In the US, it's called 2024. We do know that there are other variants that are powered by gasoline, and there's a hybrid model as well. I'm obviously not going to talk about those variants, but the fact that they exist does make me question whether or not this was a fully electric car built from the ground up. Hyundai say it was, so let's just take them at their word. Hyundai actually previewed the design of this car back in December of 2022, and I first made a video about it back then. I'll put a link in the description below to that video. Now, they've released powertrain specifications and EV-specific equipment details for the new model. It's, like I said, a huge step up from the previous car. I mean, I wouldn't have even considered the previous car, in my opinion, was just utter crap. Sorry, but I'm just going to say it how it is. I thought it looked bad on the outside, it looked bad on the inside. It was just, in my opinion, mediocre. Hyundai have done a staggering job at going from making what I thought was a mediocre vehicle and turning into this, which is actually really compelling. I would in fact get this versus quite a few of the competitors. Would I get it versus, say, a Model 3? Really depends. But from where I'm sitting, one of the biggest improvements of this car versus the previous model is the packaging, the interior size, and it's significantly bigger now. The previous model had a boot that was smaller than most hatchbacks, literally smaller than most hatchbacks. Now, it's got a boot that actually is usable and a rear seat. The previous model had a rear seat that barely fit anything, maybe a 5-year-old. Now the rear seat has significantly more space. There's 2 battery packs, like I said, the standard and the long range. The standard model has a 48.4 kilowatt hour pack, enabling a WLTP estimated range of 212 miles or 342 kilometers. So that's an increase in range of just over 10%, or around 40 kilometers versus the previous model. The previous model had a much smaller battery pack of 38 kilowatt hours. So you can see going from 38 kilowatt hours to 48 hasn't actually given the car as much of a range increase as what you would expect. But still, it's definitely a fair bit more range. The bigger battery pack, that's the model I would consider. In fact, it's the only model that I would consider. That one has a size of 65.4 kilowatt hours and That gives it an estimated range of 304 miles or 490 kilometers. That is the car that would be good for a family. That's enough. That's 500 kilometers of range, 300 miles of range. That's enough really for a family. And it's enough to get you between charges if you're going on a road trip. Battery chemistry. The batteries are made by LG Chem. That's really Hyundai's primary battery partner. LG Chem makes the nickel, cobalt, manganese, aluminium battery style lithium ternary batteries. The BYD Atto 3 uses a lithium iron phosphate blade battery. The Tesla Model 3 and the Model Y standard range both use LFP or lithium iron phosphate batteries as well. So this car uses a different battery chemistry to the Atto 3 and the Tesla Model 3 and the Model Y. Should you get this one over that one? Is it better? Is this chemistry better? In my opinion, no, it's not better. In my opinion, it's worse. The reason is there's so many more recalls for this type of battery. There is. It's night and day. And LFP batteries will get you probably twice as many charges. So there's definitely a big advantage to getting the battery pack in the BYD Atto 3 or the Tesla Model 3, the Model Y. But the range is often a little bit longer with this type of battery chemistry. So if you want more range, this is the more generally going to be the better choice. Both variants have a front-mounted electric motor, which obviously drives the front wheels. It gives 114.6 kilowatt, which is 154 horsepower, not much power. The standard model, that's for the standard model. But if you step up to getting the extended long range version, you get 160 kilowatt or 214 horsepower. Torque is the same for both electric motors with 255 newton meters of torque. That's 188 pound-feet. Is it fast enough? The standard range version, I think it's going to be a bit slow. The long range version, yeah, that's more than enough power. You're going to go pretty quick in that. You definitely would need more power than that. Hyundai says the bigger battery can charge from 10 to 80% in 41 minutes with a fast charger, but it doesn't provide the maximum charging rate the 2024 Kona Electric can actually take. So we don't know yet how fast this car will charge at maximum speeds. We do know it comes with one really cool feature, that is battery preconditioning. This ensures secure charging and range performance in winter. So basically, you're going to get better range in winter. It also has a heated charging door that operates at temperatures as low as minus 22 Fahrenheit, which is minus 30 degrees Celsius. Some of the cool features in this vehicle. It has a new iPedal driving mode that allows for one pedal driving. You don't get that on an Atto 3. You have to use the brake pedal on an Atto 3. And there's quite a few electric cars where you do have to use the brake pedal. Every EV should have at least an option for one pedal driving. That saves you from using your brakes, and it will mean you're more likely to put energy back into your battery when you brake. It also has a smart regenerative system, which automatically adjusts the amount of regen braking based on information from forward traffic flow. So the car is trying to read what's in front of you to adjust how it responds in terms of its regenerative braking. I don't know if that works, but I do like the sound of that feature. The Kona Electric has vehicle-to-load capability. That's something Teslas don't have, supporting internal and external charging of electrical devices and home appliances. The vehicle-to-load max power output is 1.63 kVA in North America and 3.13 kVA in Europe. Basically, yeah, you could use this to power quite a few of your devices in your house if you have a blackout. That's a cool feature. Would you want to do that regularly in a car with this battery chemistry? No, you would not. Definitely not. Hyundai says the new Kona Electric is one of the largest vehicles in the subcompact segment. It's a very similar size to the BYD Atto 3. It's 5.9 inches or 150 millimeters longer than its predecessor. In other words, it's a much bigger car than the old Kona Electric. It comes in at 171.4 inches long. That's 4,355 millimeters. And it's also 1 inch wider at 25 millimeters wider. That's 71.9 inches in width, 1,825 millimeters wide, and it's 2.3 inches longer in the wheelbase. That probably matters the most for internal space. That's a 60 millimeter longer wheelbase, 104.7 inch wheelbase, 2,660 millimeters. However, it's only marginally higher than its predecessor at 62 inches or 1,575 millimeters. But you don't want a higher EV. you're just going to get worse range if you make it higher. So it makes way more sense to make it wider and longer, which is what Hyundai did. As you can see, this car is now, in my opinion, a practically sized vehicle. Before, I don't think it would suit most families. Now, it could. Thanks to these increased dimensions, Inside EV says that the interior is larger and wider to the benefit of both passengers and luggage alike. So Hyundai said that the new dimensions of this car give it 77 millimeters more legroom and 11 millimeters more headroom in the second row, making it best in class. Now, I don't know what class they've used to compare this against. There's no real way of knowing actually. However, for context, the popular Toyota Corolla Cross has a 2,640 millimeter wheelbase. That's 20 millimeters less, but it measures a little bit longer, 4,460 millimeters in overall length, which is 105 millimeters longer. However, it's an identical 1,825 millimeters wide. In other words, it's a similar size to a Toyota Corolla Cross, but because it's electric and because of the packaging, it's definitely got more interior space than a Corolla Cross. The technology on the inside has seen a huge improvement. It's got two 12.3-inch panoramic display screens, plus a 12-inch head-up display, and all driver controls are relocated around the steering wheel, which is a huge improvement over some cars where you got to try and reach over and reach around. Yeah, hard to get to. Other features. The 2024 Kona Electric has surround view monitor, which displays video of the vehicle's surroundings. My old BMW X5 from 2011 had that, so that's not really a brand new thing. But anyhow, it has a Bose premium sound system and over-the-air updates. Many manufacturers claim over-the-air updates. Whether or not they actually happen is a different story. But we don't yet know the exact price. We do know this is a massively improved car, massively improved interior, exterior, dimensions, range, batteries. I'm all for it. I actually really like this car. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.